I'm a 20-year-old woman, and my parents divorced when I was 12. It's been 8 years since they split up. My dad was an alcoholic and a gambler, while my mom was more concerned with her clothes and jewelry than with the house and kids. I have 2 younger siblings, a sister who was 7 and a brother who was 4 when they divorced. They were too young to understand what was happening. During the custody battle, my mom got my siblings, and I was expected to live with my dad. I didn't want to choose sides because I felt my mom preferred my siblings, and my dad showed little interest in my life. When asked what I wanted, I chose to live with my grandparents instead. My dad was supposed to send money for my care. My grandparents were old, and 2 years after I moved in, my grandpa passed away. My grandma took care of me on her own. They never abandoned me or treated me poorly, so I felt comfortable there. Our hometown was small and quiet, but peaceful. I missed my parents a lot and loved them deeply. Even at 12, I tried to mend the rift between them, but they saw me as a clingy burden, which hurt. I just wanted to reunite our family and live happily together. I didn't want to pick a side and make the other feel bad, and I was also upset that they didn't prioritize me. They were mad at me then and still are. My dad stopped sending money when I turned 18, but that's okay. I have a job, and my grandma and I manage. We even have savings for my college, so we're doing fine. Last weekend, my cousin got married. Marriages are big in our culture, so we were invited even though we're not immediate family. My grandma, who hasn't had a break since my grandpa died, really wanted to go. We prepared for the trip, and in the midst of everything, I forgot my parents and siblings would be there too. We arrived in the city the night before and stayed at a nice hotel, enjoying the break. Little did I know it was the calm before the storm. The next morning we got ready and headed to the wedding. I saw my parents there, and a single teardrop left my eye. They were talking, smiling, and giggling together. My little brother, now 12, walked past me without recognizing me, which was okay. My sister, who is now 16 and looks like a model, was running after him. I'm proud of her for taking care of my brother. She looks so grown up and sounds more mature. My grandma pulled me to the side and told me not to stir anything up with my parents as it would ruin my cousin's wedding. After the ceremony, during the reception, my mother bumped into me. She immediately recognized me and pulled me aside to talk. I noticed she was still wearing her wedding ring, which felt strange. She wasted no time asking why I was there. I braced myself for her rude comments. My dad joined us, greeting me warmly, and we talked. During the conversation, I learned they had gotten back together because my younger siblings wanted them to. It hurt that my opinions were never considered, but one request from my siblings was enough for them to reconcile. The whole conversation made me feel like a failure. My parents' snarky comments about me abandoning them and not being there when they needed me broke my heart. I started crying, and they made another snarky remark about my tears being due to regret, telling me I would never have a place in their happy family. My grandma stepped in, telling them to stop and that I didn't need them anyway. We left, but I felt miserable. I had tried so hard to save them and was just dropped because I didn't pick a side. My grandma tried to console me, but it didn't help. I kept asking myself if I had done anything wrong by not picking a side. Would it have made a difference if I had tried harder? These questions kept messing with my mind. To clarify, my grandma and I don't struggle financially. I haven't interacted much with my siblings, nor do I blame or hate them. We used to be close when we were younger, but it's normal for them to forget about me since we haven't spoken much. My grandparents were protective of me, so I never really went out or had anyone to confide in, leaving just me and my thoughts. Yesterday, my parents came over. My grandma invited them, and she made us all sit together to talk and try to improve the situation. She pointed out everything I went through in high school, the bullying, my mental health, and I saw a bit of sympathy in their eyes, but it didn't make a difference. They defended themselves by saying I was given a choice, but didn't make it. This seemed so ridiculous to me that I snapped. I started crying and told them how hard I tried to keep them together, but nothing worked. They said they'd always feel betrayed by me and could never form an emotional bond with me. My mom pointed out how all their problems started after I was born and improved after I left, implying I was the problem. At that moment, I decided I was done with them forever. I don't care if it sounds impulsive. I just want peace. I'll make sure they never come near me again. Later, my sister reached out after hearing about everything from our parents. She knew a different story, one where I supposedly made them choose between me and my siblings. We often text because talking might get her in trouble or sent to boarding school. Now even my little brother knows the truth. It turns out my parents didn't remarry out of love. My dad needed financial support after losing money, and my mom's family wanted connections. Both have cheated on each other multiple times, but neither cares. They like their messed up life. My sister also tried to fix things but failed. We've become best friends and support each other now. My parents don't deserve anything. I've learned that negative attracts negative. Therapy has helped me, and I recommend it to heal childhood wounds. You can't heal in the same environment where you were hurt. Get out of your hometown, live your life, and enjoy it. There's so much to see and learn, and everything will be okay eventually. I'm a 33-year-old woman and a mom to Leah. I'm set to marry Jim, 30, in a year. I work as a waitress, and Jim isn't Leah's biological dad. He left when he found out I was pregnant. My friend Sam, 32, married Kyle, 36, a month ago. Sam works as a school administrator, and Kyle manages a warehouse, using fake names here. We went to dinner to plan our wedding for 2023 and hear about their newlywed life. Sam mentioned they were excited about trying for kids now that they had a house and were married. I asked her what she meant, as I wasn't aware she wanted kids. Her wedding was child-free, and she never joined conversations about kids in our friend group. She explained that she wanted to bring kids into the world when she had a healthy relationship and a house with a yard for them to play in. She said their current house, which they moved into last year, is big enough for 2 or 3 kids. I said being married doesn't mean the relationship is healthy. She insisted hers was, but I pointed out that divorce rates are high, and if they split, she'd be on her own. Kyle said I was assuming too much. I told them they should consider what might happen if it doesn't work out, because that's what happened to me. I love Leah, but no amount of planning prepared me to be a single mom. Sam responded, "Well, I'm not you," to which Kyle muttered, "Thank God." Jim told Kyle to be respectful, and Kyle shot back that he wasn't the one being disrespectful. I said that if my comments hit a nerve, maybe it was a sign they knew I had a point. Sam asked if I was mad that she waited for the right man to have a child while I didn't, suggesting I was speaking from regret. I told her I don't regret Leah. She said it sounded like I regretted the timing. I explained the timing was fine and I was managing well, but Sam brought up my financial issues. I told her not everyone can go to grad school and work while raising a family. Sam, who was single for 3 years before meeting Kyle, said that was her point. She had different priorities, and that's why she's where she is, and I'm stuck where I am. The check had already been paid, so Jim said we needed to get home to relieve the babysitter. I've told our friend group what happened, and they say it was my fault for criticizing Sam's choices. One friend thinks Sam went too far with her comments about regret, but agreed that I sounded jealous. I'm not. Jim's family and my parents agree with us. I posted this before my shift and just got off. There are over 1,000 comments, so I can't respond to everyone, but here are some clarifications. I mentioned Sam's wedding was child-free because she said she didn't want to be around kids on her wedding day as they are annoying. This sub allows for 3,000 characters, so I couldn't include everything. Sam went on about how having a house and a marriage makes raising kids easier, which isn't true. Sam thinks that because she works in education and has a master's, she knows more than everyone. I was telling her that having kids isn't easier just because you have more money and a house. I live in an apartment. Now, about my jobs. I worked 2 jobs until last Sunday. My second job as a waitress was great, with plenty of hours to complete my internship. However, my first job barely gave me 4 hours a week, and the tips were hardly enough to cover my therapy. I tried to get more hours, but was refused, so I got a second job. I planned to quit professionally in 2 weeks, but then Mother's Day happened. I was scheduled from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., and my mother was having dinner at 7 p.m. at her favorite restaurant. Told both managers I needed to leave on time. At 8 p.m., a flood of orders came in, and I thought I could finish them quickly. I got them done in 30 minutes and started stocking up. My manager said she'd try to get me out in 15 minutes, but changed her mind. I texted my mom, who insisted I put my phone away. An hour passed, and my phone was going nuts. Orders kept coming in intermittently. I told my mom I wasn't off yet, and she said they'd come get me. An hour and a half after my shift ended, my parents arrived. I was pissed as my manager gave no clue when I could leave and told me to get over it, because the customers could tell. I told her I quit and not to schedule me again. Later, the other manager texted me saying I was unprofessional and wouldn't last long in the food industry. She implied what I did was in a whole move, and it's been eating me up inside. Thanks for the support, everyone. I want to add that I was scheduled from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., and they often cut my hours. I told them I had a second job. NTA, they are gaslighting you. If you were scheduled until 8, you should have left at 8. It's the manager's job to cover the schedule. The only unprofessional ones in this